This child was kidnapped from a department store and his head was found near a sewer. This case is what founded the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This is the case of Adam Walsh. I do want to give a trigger warning right away that this video involves the abduction and unaliving of a child. Your mental health matters. Please take care of yourself. Also, a disclaimer that I am not a lawyer and all of this information is publicly available. Adam John Walsh was a 6-year-old boy from Hollywood, Florida. His mother often spoke of his warm personality and how much he loved spending time with his family. His friends remembered him as cheerful and full of energy, always eager to explore and learn. At school, teachers described him as a happy child who enjoyed being around others and had a natural friendliness about him. He was well liked by all of his classmates and the staff. Overall, he was seen as an innocent, joyful child full of promise and life, which is what makes this case so much harder to hear. On July 27th, 1981, he was out shopping at a Sears with his mother, Rev. While she wasn't looking, Adam was abducted in broad daylight, taken out of the store, never to be seen again. His disappearance shocked the nation and changed the way we look at child safety now. Adam was reported missing immediately by his family, but despite the efforts made by Adam's parents and the local authorities, Adam's whereabouts remained unknown. The search involved extensive efforts, including the distribution of flyers, tons of media coverage, and an entire community's involvement in searching for him. However, it wasn't until August 10th, 1981, just 14 days after his disappearance, that 2 fishermen discovered Adam's severed head in a drainage canal in Vero Beach, Florida, which is roughly 100 miles from Hollywood, Florida. But the rest of his body was never found. I can't even imagine being the one that makes that discovery. I don't think I'd ever sleep again if I found a head in a sewer. In 2008, nearly 3 decades later, Hollywood Police Chief Chadwick Wagner announced that convicted serial killer Otis Toole had been identified as the one who unalived Adam. Get this, Otis Toole had confessed to the crime initially, but then recanted his statement. If you know me, you know I hate recanted statements. The ability to recant a statement is total bullshit to me. If you said that you did it and then later say, oh, never mind, I didn't, that first time that you said that you did it should be incriminating enough to go to trial and convict you of it. Sorry, I'm just a girl, but recanted statements piss me off. Otis Toole had provided details about the crime that were not publicly known, leading to authorities considering him a prime suspect. However, due to certain inconsistencies in his confessions and overall lack of physical evidence, he was never charged. But despite this lack of physical evidence, authorities decided to close the case, accepting Otis Toole's initial confession as the detail that put this case to rest. Thank God, I guess recanting a statement didn't really work here because he didn't get charged with it, but they still said that he was the one who did it. I don't really know how that works, but in my mind, it's like a half-ass recanted statement. Also, this is something interesting that I found in my research and I wanted to touch on. In 2007, reports surfaced that Jeffrey Dahmer might have been involved in Adam's disappearance. Yes, the Jeffrey Dahmer. 2 eyewitnesses claimed to see a man resembling Dahmer in that same mall that Adam was abducted from on the day of his disappearance. However, Dahmer denied any involvement and no concrete evidence linked him to the crime. Even Adam's father, John Walsh, stated that he had seen no evidence connecting Dahmer to Adam's unaliving. So again, it didn't really lead to anything, but I thought it was interesting and wanted to touch on it. Despite their heartbreak, Adam's parents, John and Red Walsh, channeled their grief into advocacy. They founded the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 1984 and pushed the passing of Adam Walsh Child Protection and Safety Act in 2006, which established a national registry. These parents created the 2 foundations that have helped over 450,000 missing children be found, which is such an incredible blessing to come from something so tragic and heinous. Adam's story is a reminder of the importance of vigilance and the need for continued efforts to protect children. His legacy lives on through the work of his parents and the changes that they have inspired across the country. That is the case of Adam Walsh. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this case in the comments, and if you have any other cases you want me to cover, please put those in the comments as well. I post true crime stories just like this one all the time, so if you like that kind of content, follow so you don't miss my next video, and please stay safe out there. You never know what's right around the corner. This 2-year-old boy was kidnapped by 2 10-year-old boys, beaten, and then unalived. This is the story of James Bulger. That being said, I do need to give a trigger warning that this video does involve the unaliving of a child. Please take care of yourself. Your mental health matters. If you don't think you should be watching this video, just don't. And a quick disclaimer that I'm just a girl, I'm not a lawyer, and all of this information is publicly available. James Bulger, a 2-year-old boy from Liverpool, England, was a curious and adorable little toddler. His mother recalled that he loved trains, music, and playing with his older brother. Neighbors remembered him as a happy, smiling little boy who would wave to everybody he saw. On the afternoon of February 12, 1993, James was at the New Strand Shopping Center with his mother when he had wandered off for a few minutes. After his mother realized that he had been missing, she immediately contacted police and a massive search was launched. Across Liverpool, officers interviewed hundreds of witnesses, canvassed the shopping center and surrounding areas, and used roadblocks, checkpoints, and public appeals to try to locate him. The investigation into James's abduction and murder was intimate, intense, and very public. In just the few minutes that James wandered off, 2 10-year-old boys named Robert Thompson and John Venables abducted him from the shopping center. And this absolutely breaks my heart because yes, 10-year-olds are so young, so little, but a 2-year-old is so vulnerable, and I feel like they had to have known that and had to have had a plan, which makes me sick to my stomach and breaks my heart because that 2-year-old just probably thought that they were another set of boys, another pair of friends that he could have, and they just wanted to play with trains or take him somewhere cool. It makes me sick. They led James away from the public area, taking him on a train and then to a canal towpath where they horrifically assaulted him. James's body was found just 2 days later on February 14, 1993 on a railway line, showing signs of brutal abuse. The case rightfully shocked the UK and the entire world because of the extreme violence inflicted by such young perpetrators. Thompson and Venables were thankfully arrested very shortly after the discovery of James's body. Their trial revealed the shocking details of the crime, which I don't want to go into because this case is already horrific enough. You can look it up if you're really interested. Thankfully, they were convicted of in November of 1993. They were sentenced to detention at Her Majesty's pleasure, which I had to look it up because what is that? It is a legal term meaning, quote, intermediate or open-ended prison sentence for individuals like juveniles or those with mental health issues, where release depends on an official decision rather than a fixed term, end quote. So essentially a life sentence, but with a minimum term set by a judge. James's passing left a lasting impact on the community and the UK as a whole. It led to widespread debates about juvenile crime, the protection of children, and how society should deal with violent offenses committed by children. Vigils were held and his family and community remember James as a joyful, innocent little boy whose life was taken far too soon. James's story remains a tragic reminder of the vulnerability of children and the lasting impact of violence on families and communities. That is everything I have on that case. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. This one was so crazy because, again, the 2 perpetrators were 2 10-year-old boys. I'm scared of middle schoolers because they